Welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, where today is part 2 of our interview with very worshipful brother Jeff Brunson, Grand Master of DeMolay International.
Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our thoughts and opinions are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions via our website at theworkingtoolspodcast.com.
Today on the Working Tools Podcast, we have our usual group of 4 hosts. We have very worshipful brother Stephen Chung from Prince Charles Lodge number 153 in Kelowna, BC. Brother Craig Graham from Kalamalka Lodge number 160 in Vernon, BC. Very worshipful brother David Colbeth from King Solomon Lodge number 60 in Auburn, Washington. And I'm Matt Appel. I'm a member of Mill Creek 243, and we meet in lovely Mountain Lake Terrace, Washington. And we have, for another episode here, very worshipful brother Jeff Brunson, who is, I already messed up the title when I introduced you the first time, so I'll look at it when I read it this time, who is DeMolay Grand Master and is in charge of DeMolay International. I was going to say more there, but really, period. This turn is the adult in charge of DeMolay International, which actually brings me to my first question. I seem to remember having met a brother, well, he wasn't a Mason yet, but anyway, the point is, who was the youth head of DeMolay. Is there, you mentioned earlier that there are statewide heads, state master counselors. Is there a youth position beyond that for DeMolay International? Or
So yes, there is. You probably met River Peatman. River Peatman. He just
exactly,
got
yes.
just got his EA degree on Friday in Canada. River was our International Congress Secretary last year. There's 2 positions for the youth, International Master Counselor and International Congress Secretary. River, unique story. He lives in Canada and is part of DeMolay Canada. So he cannot run for a position at DeMolay International. So about 4 or 5, 6 years ago, I made him a DeMolay at a chapter in the state of Washington in Bellingham, and that allowed him to be able to run for that international office. Awesome young man, by the way.
Yeah,
all of those guys are.
River's great. We just were up there for Grand Masonic Day in Vancouver, and River was there, and he was so excited. We attended the Lodge of the Southern Cross, which is where he obtained his degrees, and he was so excited to be able to receive his degrees, and his the person that was conferring, and a lot of people that were part of his success in DeMolay and becoming a Mason were there to support him. So it was really neat.
Yeah, I really wanted to be there for his initiation, but kind of hard from where I am today. But I wonder if he still wears that denim jacket with the DeMolay Canada emblem on the back.
I've seen him wear it, yes. But we've moved him a little, his fashion has gotten a little more current. So, but yes, I've seen him wear it.
So the backstory to that jacket, Dick Audie here in Kelowna was a DeMolay in his youth. And he said to me one day, he said, I was cleaning out my closet the other day, and I got this jacket. Now, I'm much smaller than I used to be, but it looks like it'll fit you. So he gave it to me. It was a little tight, right? And River, he was just a mover and a shaker, and he was coming up to Kelowna trying to revive the chapter, and he was busy doing everything. And so I presented him with this jacket because it was in mint shape, like the day that Dick bought it. Oh, it's more than 50 years old, that jacket, right? And so it was a pleasure to see him wear it everywhere for a long time, right? And enjoy it.
We're actually getting movement again in British Columbia. We have a new executive officer put into place, and we are working on developing a couple chapters, and River's a big part of that.
Excellent. I sure hope it happens. I still think they need to, do a mass version of the 7 steps to success. Because back in the day when there were 17 chapters in the Lower Mainland, you could do DeMolay 6 nights a week, no problem. And mind you, there was 25 Bethel, so there was more to do yet, right? But that the brotherhood of the traveling and the visiting and everything, just it becomes so much more intense with more chapters. So I sure hope so. I hear a lot of guys that are have sons and grandsons that they're trying to find a chapter for, and so that'll be great. Be sure to let us know so that we can give it a plug, and I can spread the word through those I know who are waiting to hear.
Yep, definitely. We're very excited.
Can you talk a little? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Craig.
No, I was going to ask Jeff. Along the lines of that conversation there with Steve, do you have a particular theme or an interest or a direction that you want your year in this office to reflect? Like it often, times I speak, we speak to grand masters quite often on this podcast, and there's generally a program or a direction, something thematic that they want to bring with them in their office. And with you in particular, is there something, how do you want your year to go, and what mark do you want to leave on the office when you vacate it?
Well, 2 things. One is something that means a lot to me because of my involvement with DeMolay for so many years and growing up, knowing many people, brotherhood, comradeship, that centerpiece of our virtues and our values is a really important thing to me. So the pin that I have, and I'm just looking at my desk, I don't have one sitting here, is a shield and a star, which is, oh, look at that. I have it on me. There's the shield right there. I don't know if you can see that. So that's the set represents the 7 virtues of DeMolay. The center one represents comradeship, brotherhood. And that has been a central theme throughout the year, is making sure that people understand that we are a brotherhood. We are here for each other. And we dedicate ourselves to helping each other be better. And then surrounding that, probably the greater thing for me has been, we've kind of got the title of being a disruptor, or somebody that looks at things a little different. I tend to be an idea guy, so we have really tried to step out of the normal and try to find not new ways. I don't know if anything's new anymore, but different ways to look at things, to advance the organization. Yes, we talk about 1919 and our history all the time, but it's 2025, and before we blink, it's going to be 2030 or 2035. That's where we need to be looking. We need to be looking at the next generation who are going to be DeMolays, the next generation who are going to be Masons, and not be stuck. Our history is humongous to us, and never want to change our history, but we need to evolve the organization and start advancing the way we do things. My trusty cell phone that's close to me all the time, it's probably more powerful of a computer than the computer I'm sitting in front of. The kids live off those things. So instead of saying, put down your phone, how can we embrace them with that phone? We encourage them to bring them into their meetings because they can put things on their calendar. They can text mom, dad, and say, hey, can I go next Tuesday to this function? You got to find ways to be able to do that. And even us adults, we need to sometimes take a step back. I ask my son and my daughter, hey, can you help me program my phone or whatever? And I ask the kids that I work with all the time, teach me these things. And oh my God, some of the words that they use, I don't get the language, but um, we just got to find a way to advance ourselves. So those are probably the two main things that I've been pushing so far.
Jeff,
And
you are
when I say
the
so
old
far,
So
oh my God,
your
thanks
kids,
a lot.
your kids are adults now. You have grandkids. So
Yeah, I know. Yes.
congratulations,
yeah,
by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's I never thought I would be this old.
and my grandkids are old enough to be in DeMolay. Yes,
Ooh,
both of them are, but there's no chapter close by. Um, is so that tech thing leads me to the question: is there a DeMolay app in our future?
a DeMolay what?
App.
App. Yes, we have had a DeMolay app. Um, well, ran for about 7 years, started about 10 years ago, and we found that the guys were not using the app as much. So we have put our energy behind our eScribe program. eScribe is our database of our membership, and we are getting ready to launch our next version of that. We're hoping July of this year. We've put a ton of money into it and have really brought it up to the forefront, and it will become um, not necessarily the app that will become the center point for our future of where to find chapters, where to find information, where to go to. Our DeMolay ritual will be on our phones. Our I can see other states and other countries what they're doing and where they're at, and communicate through that. So we've got to be advancing ourselves in that. And we they always say that the youth are running from us adults in technology because they don't want us to know what they're doing and where they're going. So we've got to be smarter and find new ways to be able to communicate and be a part of their lives.
Can you talk a little bit about like in the book, Chris Hodap refers to some of the skills and things that DeMolay teaches, and so there's a little bit of an ad for someone that might be listening that has a son or nephew or some a neighbor that has someone that might be eligible. He talks about they learn leadership and civic responsibility and public speaking and finance and things. What are the kind of core elements that DeMolay teaches?
Well, let me answer the question with something else, but I'll get to there. DeMolay really teaches you by doing hands-on, by being a part of doing something. I can tell you how to go build a car, but until you go start putting those parts together, it really doesn't make sense. So we teach by doing. Um, well, as something as simple as a car wash. Everybody thinks, oh, a car wash, that's easy. Until you have to start making phone calls or talking to, oh my God, I got to talk to an adult about reserving a gas station or a place to do that car wash. I got to call friends and have them show up to help me wash all the cars. I need to have buckets and soap and sponges and hoses. That requires me to put all that together, and I've got to plan that. I'm going to have to handle money. If people give us a donation, I'm going to have to talk to these people when they pull up in their car and, teaching me customer service and thanking them. And also, we have to do a good job on that car because it reflects on us if we don't. So there's, really simple things that we can do um, that shows and teaches the young people the leadership skills, how to be there and how to be a part of that. Um, my home chapter, they're really into going trampolining these days and using some of the jump parts. And, again, somebody's got to call and reserve it. Somebody's got to order pizza and invite their friends and make sure everybody fills out the medical release forms and all those things. Doing as you go gives them the opportunity to learn and grow. Leadership skills, customer service. I never thought I would own a business and be in sales. But if it weren't for DeMolay, I mean, that's what I did from 12 on and have continued in my life. One quick story, I became part of a downtown merchants group in downtown Tacoma where my business is. And here I'm sitting with, 50 of these super duper business people in suits and ties and everything. They did not know how to conduct business. And I looked at them, I was like, what do you mean? You just make a motion. And they're like, you do what? You make a what? Well, where's our agenda? Well, what's an agenda? And I'm like, wait a second. You guys are the superpower business leaders and you don't know the basics of running a meeting or Robert's Rules of Order. I learned all that in DeMolay. And unfortunately, I became president right after that because I was the only one to do that. But I taught everybody, and it's so rewarding to be able to share that knowledge with others. And boy, they started to run pretty efficient meetings after a little while.
It's funny you said the car wash thing because it reminds me. I got to organize a car wash. And I thought I nailed it. I had the buckets, I had the hoses, I had the people, I had lined up being able to use this gas station all summer for car washes. I nailed it, right? And the day of the car wash, I showed up and nobody told me I needed splitters for all the hoses. So we ended up with one hose while the chapter dad went and took me to go and get splitters so that we could have three hoses. Right. But that's one of the really cool things about DeMolay that actually was the hardest thing to learn to do as an advisor is to let them fail. You don't make sure that their plan goes off without a hitch. You let them do it. And if it doesn't, there's something to be learned from it. Right. And the years I spent as an advisor later on in life, that had to be the hardest thing, is to button the lip and let them succeed or fail on their own, right? I mean,
And you have
is that not one of the hardest parts of your job?
It is. There are so many times I want to step up and say, you idiot, come on, what do you mean you didn't do this? But you have to sit back, you have to watch things happen. But the most important thing is the evaluation after the event. And all of my guys know, actually, all of my officers on the adult level know, after the event, we're going for pizza or we're going for milkshakes, and we're going to spend 20 minutes talking about what was good and what was bad and what we can do better next time. And that's, like you said, that's the point where they learn. And I still do that as an adult. My wife and I driving home from whatever thing it was, we go through and evaluate how good the event was, what could happen better, and that's human for us. We've got to be able to do that and learn from those things. Now, if we could get our governments to do that, that would be awesome too.
Yeah. Good luck with that
there.
one.
Not going there.
There's another area that DeMolay conducts, like special days, ceremonial days. Just recently, our lodge sponsors a chapter, and we've gone through some fluctuations of membership numbers. When I was coming up through the line and becoming a Mason, a good friend, Steve Stewart, was in line with me, and we became friends, and had the chapters there. I don't have boys. I have two girls that are rainbow. That'll be another show. And but he brought me. So just for Masons that are listening, or chapter dads that are listening, trying to figure out how to connect with your Masons, he invited me to the fun stuff, the DeMolay fun stuff. One especially was unique to Washington, or maybe just unique to Edward James. The chapter that we have was the counselor retreat, and that was a weekend to get away with the boys, and they kind of get to let their hair down. There's really almost no rules. Just don't be mean to each other. And after a few rounds of awkward family photos with 15-year-olds, they were pretty loose, let me tell you.
Yes.
But that really connected with me. I got the opportunity to get to know the guys and to get to know Steve and how it was fun. It was interesting to watch them grow from 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds to 21-year-olds and now married, and some of them having their kids. And he suckered me into being chairman for a few years, and it was really fun. So when I was coming through the line, I was able to be master. I wanted to have some connection to DeMolay as part of my ceremony. And so Al Jorgensen, I talked with him, and I said, I really wanted to have one of these boys, who was Lauren Friends, to conduct the ceremony of light. He did an amazing job, but he had aged out. And so I had to get a dispensation from the executive officer at the time, Jimmy Reed, to say, and we were all kind of scared of Jimmy Reed.
Yes.
He's a great guy now. Got to know him over, become an adult. But anyway, he said, yeah, I'd grant that. So I was very fortunate to have Lauren do that ceremony of light. It was beautiful in that room too, because the lights are low, and that ceremony, if you've never seen it, it's really amazing, especially when you get into an environment where there isn't any other light. It's just so powerful. But sorry, but there's the reason I say that is that just this last meeting at our lodge, the DeMolay exemplified patriotism. The day of the I'm beating this up, but they did a flag ceremony. They brought in the flag, and they all conducted a ceremony. It was really quite special, and they were very nervous, thinking they were going to mess it up, and they did amazing. They really did amazing.
Yeah, we have 7 obligatory days, and they are spread throughout the year. It used to be, back in the day, those were the 7 days of the week during DeMolay week. And DeMolay week starts, today's the 16th, starts on March 18th, is DeMolay week, now DeMolay month. But there's different things they do. There's a day of comfort, a day of service, a patriotism day. There's all for different things. And the main thing about those is to teach the guys to get out of the 4 walls of their normalcy. Try to go to the lot and do something. Try to seek people outside of their circle and bring them in. So it's part marketing, part, trying to share what it is, but also doing something good for themselves and for their country. But David, I wanted to add something. The one thing that is really important to us is legacy. We talk about our legacy, and I, as a Mason, my legacy was bringing my son into Masonry. I also brought my son into DeMolay. I wanted him to get that experience, but I didn't push him. I just introduced him to it. And when he turned 21, he was like, Dad, I want to join Masons. That's the legacy. I don't think enough Masons these days do, is think about their children and getting them involved in the Masonic family. And you have daughters. Matt's got a son. I was at several things that his son was at. Those are the important things, is that we need to lead those people, because that's how the organization can grow. That's how Masonry can grow, along with the youth group and being involved.
Yeah, I think we're, a lot of times we talk about within youth groups trying to get, it's important to have your friends involved, or to try and recruit your friends. That's certainly a key. I still think there's it really is a missing component of the moms and dads and aunts and uncles and grandpas and grandpas, because like you said, it was something you mentioned earlier, that the boy might be messaging mom and dad from the meeting. And part of me wanted to say, but mom and dad should be in the meeting. And so having what we experienced at one point in the chapter we had too many adults. We had twice as many adults as we did kids because we were connecting with them, but they were still getting. It was interesting though. I had recruited people to help, but it was because we call them drop off kids.
Oh.
The parents would drop them off and go and do their thing and then come back again. And we really wanted the parents to be involved. And so that's it. Again, it's kind of reversed again. Now it's the opposite. All the parents are involved, and there's not as many Masons as there was before. So it's interesting how that ebb and flow happens.
Yes.
But I think having the aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas involved, they'll be the ones that make sure that the child gets there, whether it's the DeMolay or other youth groups, but hopefully they'll be involved and connected, and they'll tell them to go. Grandma says, you go.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's why we try to make sure, at least I do, I make sure my advisors have fun too. Coming as an adult, sitting around waiting for these kids. Oh my God, the music is loud. Oh, they scream a lot. Yeah, I know they do. But you don't know how important it is for those young people to have those adults, those parents, whatever, be a part of it. Yeah, it's a lesson for all of us to be a part of that. Without an adult there, we have no chapter, no Bethel, no assembly. There's got to be that adult participation.
It's so funny to watch some of the older guys still say, "Hey, Dad Colbeth," like it's David. It's okay. You can call me David. I don't know your name. It's Dad Colbeth.
My chapter advisor when I was 14, I still call him, and he's 79 now. I still call him Dad Meyer because I really don't know what his first name is. And I would feel like I'm disrespecting him if I called him anything else.
Yeah. Now, did it really? We only got a few minutes left, but did you and Lori meet in youth groups?
Yeah. So my wife and I met through DeMolay. She was in Job's Daughters and Rainbow Girls. I was running for a office, DeMolay, and she ran for a sweetheart position, and I knew of her anyway. And yeah, that's how we met. My daughter was were the advisor for Rainbow, and she married the state master counselor of DeMolay from that. And my son, when he was state master counselor, met this cute little girl that her dad was a chapter advisor, and so my family's kind of built around that Masonic family.
Yeah. And still all very involved and connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was the what do you call it? The scandal of the year, where I was the master counselor. My first wife of 25 years was the honor queen of Bethel 23. We went on to make a Joby, well, 2 Jobies. And one of them went on to make 2 DeMolay eligible boys, right?
That's good.
We just need the DeMolay back. But
yes.
I forget the other thing I was going to say before. But anyways, I'm sure hopefully we're going to have another episode so we can go to it then.
Well, that sounds like a segue if I ever heard one. So again, thank you, very worshipful brother Jeff. As DeMolay Grandmaster, we really appreciate you choosing to spend your time with us this evening and recording here. And for everyone who's out there listening, thank you for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you on the various channels and such. And on behalf of David and Stephen and Greg and myself, thank you all very much for listening, and goodbye.